Hello and welcome to the Neon City Daily Podcast. I'm Jamie.
Well, I'm Josh.
I'm not Nick, but I am still Dave.
Nick is dying.
Yep. Got the COVID
Yeah.
vaccine.
Yeah.
Just needed a slightly longer pause there.
Yeah.
He'll be fine. So, do you want to play your music? I don't know.
Oh, I guess we should roll
It's
the
been a long
intro.
time.
Welcome back.
Hi guys.
So, yeah.
Have you all been? I have not been present for the last few podcasts.
No, I don't think the four of us have been together in
It's been a while.
months.
Eventually, the band will get back together.
Yeah.
But no, I've had a bit of an eventful time. We have been house hunting, and we've got something.
House buying.
Yeah, well, potentially we're
Singular, not multiple.
we're just kind of we're talking to the bank at the moment and waiting for confirmation, and then we'll have a house, which is great
Mm.
and scary.
No.
Well,
The best thing about owning a house, as someone who's owned his own house now for 2-3 years, is you can put as many holes in it as you want.
I'm aware of the whole factor for the house, but no, it's more that the seeing the deposit that you've got in the bank
Disappear.
go to zero. It's just like, oh,
Yeah, and see large negative numbers of how much you owe a bank.
What's also what gave me a fright was that because it was a public holiday on Tuesday for Melbourne. My pay got delayed significantly. So I'm looking at my account and I'm like, I've got $100 at the start of the week, and then Thursday rocks around and subscriptions and things come out. I'm like, I now have $10. I really hope they pay me because it's really all the money I have in the world right now.
Dang.
They did though, so I'm okay.
But at least you'll have a house.
Yeah, yeah.
You can be broke on your living room floor crying, but at least it'll be your living room.
At least I'll have a roof.
Yeah.
Yeah. And a lovely view.
And a lovely partner who you bought the house with.
Yeah. That's also part of the view.
And no money.
Yeah, who needs money anyway? It's just material.
You've bought the Warhammer. That the hard part's done. Now you've got the house to put the Warhammer in.
My army is like 4,000 points.
Hot damn! What, your Space Marines
Yeah.
or your what are they called?
Uh,
Space Wolves.
yeah, Space Wolves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you even get to 4,000 points with Space Wolves? I didn't know there were that many that
I
existed.
just buy a few here and there.
I think 4,000 points is more than a few. You actually have a larger army than I do now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if you take into consideration the different armies you have,
Yeah.
Like, combine the totals.
I've really just focused on a singular army.
But each shelf in there is a different army.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, I've got 2 shells dedicated to Space Wolves at the moment.
Yeah. I've only got, full armies that are at a decent size. Because I don't really count my chaos stuff at the moment. It's a bit of a hodgepodge.
Yeah.
So it's really just the Fish Boys for Sigma, Marines for 40k,
Yep.
and they're my main armies.
Yeah.
But and yet ironically,
You also got some Nurgle stuff in there. And
yeah, well that's part of my chaos army.
Yeah,
because that's going to run like 50-50 in Sigma.
But you've also got because you've got like a Great Unclean one. You've got Abaddon. You've got Be'lakor.
Yeah,
you got some very.
They're all going to be part of the
pricey
chaos
units.
army.
Yeah,
but that's just like a massive soup.
Yeah, I know, but like even though it's a hodgepodge army, you've got quite.
They're
a lot
centerpieces.
There's a lot of points. There's a lot of power there.
A lot of money.
Quite a lot of money invested in that army.
Yeah, it's still a lot of grey plastic, but the beautiful thing about Warhammer is I think you're the exception, but most people who buy Warhammer then just go online and lament the fact that they never got around to painting it. So it's not like I'm sitting here feeling pressure. I feel pressure in the sense that when we finally get around to playing another game, I want to field a painted army.
Yeah.
So we have to play a game that's really small points. Because then I have to paint less. Yeah.
like a
just a quick one-on-one.
Yeah.
It comes in waves, my painting.
Yeah.
It really does come in waves. Because I don't want to burn out or get sick of it, which is why my Marines have still not been painted.
Well, I suspect you probably would have painted more than an entire army, but you have changed colour schemes
Yeah,
several times.
see, it's
Yeah, you're
the
very
detailing as well on them. is so boring. Like the blue with gold trim, and that doesn't change across the entire army.
Yeah.
So it's like,
Well, you were going. You were doing a custom color chapter at one point.
I was, yeah.
And then you decided not to.
So I've gone back to basic Space Marine boys, and the only real thing that I enjoy the most, so once I get the base stuff out of the way, is weathering them.
Yeah.
Because I really don't like the clean.
Sure.
Like they're Space Marines, they're gritty, they're grim dark. Like,
well, I think that the Eradicator that you've done over there looks really good.
yeah, he's got all the dirt and stuff.
Yeah.
Plus, weathering is a really good way to cover up mistakes.
Yeah.
Which I like.
I've started to get into kit bashing, so I want to go and get just like some of those cheap. Like if you go online and find some scalpers or whatever, you can get just like assault intercessors for relatively cheap because they've come out of the Indominus box.
Oh, yeah.
And I just want to get a bunch of those, and I just want to cut them up and change like their poses and make them more dynamic or interesting, and print out like some different weapon options and sculpt some things on them. And I've started to do that a little bit. I got some like a wolf pack thing, so it's just like 10 firstborn space wolves. And I kind of like been printing out like different weapons for them and giving them different types of shields and like cutting up the thunder claws that they have and changing the positions of them so that they look a little bit more interesting. And that's been fun. That's like a little gateway drug to me there.
Yeah,
like,
that's the one thing that's never appealed to me is kit bashing. One, I don't have the creativity. I don't have the creative mind. And I mean, that's about it. Two, I'm lazy, I guess.
I mean, I forget I own Warhammer till I come around here.
It is still all here, Dave.
Yeah, you should paint it, Dave.
We do need to sit down and do a bit of a paint sesh. Probably when Jamie moves, because now I've taken the desk out. Makes
Or Nick's room is ready.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, well, that's it. I didn't mind taking. We touched on this last week that we've changed the studio stuff around, and I don't mind removing the big table because, I mean, you've got a house now with plenty of room. Nick has a room. Like, it'd be nice for me to play somewhere else actually. So
yeah, pardon me. Something that I have been noticing is that I'm really enjoying going back and looking at some of the first ones I painted and looking at the more recent ones that I've been doing.
Yeah.
And just seeing the subtle improvements to my technique. And like that's really gratifying. It's kind of like, it's like looking at old artwork and then looking at new artwork and kind of going like, oh, I've improved here and here and here, and this looks nicer and this pops more. And I didn't know what I was doing here, and now I know what I'm doing here, and like that's a lot of fun for me. Just kind of seeing an artistic journey, I guess.
I don't stick with anything long enough.
Yeah, so you could have had a great time with it. But
the first thing that came to my mind was when I do code for work. I look back at old scripts and things like that I've written, old applications and programs.
Yeah.
And it's 1,000 lines of code. And now with my current knowledge, I could go back and write that with 100 lines of code.
Yeah.
It's a lot more elegant.
Yeah.
But yeah, unfortunately with Warhammer, it's I have perfected stripping paint. That I can do quickly, effectively.
Dude, I bought a couple of tanks online a while ago, like just some secondhand ones, and I got around to stripping the paint off them yesterday. And there's something.
It was caked on.
It was caked on,
Yeah.
but more interestingly, one of them was like a Space Wolves one, and it was just like so thick, and they'd like free-handed a wolf head on it, and I was like, oh, I appreciate the attempt, but it's not really what I'm after.
Yeah.
And so I kind of I stripped it, and the first thing I realized was that it was varnished, and the varnish had yellowed, which made it look way grosser than it actually was. And then I took away that layer, and I realized that whoever had this initially, either they got off someone else, or they had originally been making an Ultramarines army because someone had put Ultramarine decals on there, and they just sprayed over everything. And so like sometimes when you're kind of stripping the paint off of a secondhand one, it's interesting that you kind of see the journey that miniature has taken. Yeah.
It's like you're an archaeologist.
Yeah.
You are the Indiana Jones of Warhammer.
That mini belongs in a museum.
you could survive a nuclear blast in a fridge. You know, I watched that the other day.
Yeah.
Yep.
Did
the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
Yeah.
I saw it. I've seen it once, but I don't know. Like, it was years, obviously, after the first three films,
just by a bit.
And so I watched it and had no real reference because I'd kind of like indie. I like Star Wars, but indie never really. I like it. I'll watch it, but I'm not a fanatic.
Sure.
And controversially, I didn't mind Kingdom and the Crystal Skull, but you got to suspend disbelief watching any of those movies. So I don't get why people were so shitty about it. Anyway, that's just a bit of a segue.
Because there's a point where you go like, so suspending your disbelief is a thing that you have to do, but there are things that will take you out of your suspension, and getting into a fridge and surviving a nuclear blast is the kind of thing that makes you go like, oh, come on.
It was that and the whole aliens thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
It went down a different path than the others had gone down.
But that's so George Lucas. That's George Lucas untethered with no one saying no, George.
Yeah.
That's how we got the prequels, and that's how we got
this
one.
If you had more Indiana Jones movies back to back, right? I reckon that you would have gotten to an alien situation much quicker, and then people would have gone like, oh, that's when the series started to go downhill, right? But because there was such a huge weight, anticipation was at a boiling point because people, they love a thing that they love when they were children. So there was like the nostalgia and the hope that this movie would somehow change their lives. And then
Aliens wasn't the way to do it.
Then there's an alien and an old man in a fridge, and you're like, wasn't as good as I was hoping. Didn't change my life.
I think Mythbusters did a thing on that fridge.
Yeah, he would have died. He would have broke all his bones.
Yeah, pretty sure it did. Especially, anyway, not going to go into it. It's not. Yeah.
It's a movie. It's okay.
Yeah, I mean, I can live with more Harrison Ford in my life. I like me some Harrison.
Did you watch the new Blade Runner?
Yeah. Love it.
Yeah?
Yeah. Have you seen it?
No.
It's good.
I got to check it out.
Dennis, whatever his last name is, the director.
Rodman.
No. No,
Really?
he's
Hopper.
Dennis Villeneuve. He's French-Canadian.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe just French. Anyway, I won't hold that against him. He one of my favorite directors because he did. Have you seen Arrival?
No.
Oh my goodness,
No.
that's awesome. Have you seen Sicario?
No.
Nope.
That's awesome. And then anyway, he did the new June movie.
Have not seen it.
No,
Sounds like he's got a strong body of work, though.
Yeah, he. So on the back of he did the new Blade Runner.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, his filmmaking is a bit of a slow burn. A lot of attention to detail, and they gave him the new Blade Runner, and that neo-noir cyberpunk feel that the first one had. He just nailed it.
Yeah.
In the follow-up. So, but that movie didn't make any money for the studio.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was like one of those real, like, critics loved it, but then it just didn't make any money.
Did the original Blade Runner make a lot of money? I feel like
mostly at the home box office.
It certainly sold a lot of DVDs and videos.
Yeah, it became one of those cult classics rather than a smash hit at the time.
It kind of doesn't surprise me that the same thing is happening with that one. And I don't know, did that when did that happen in relation to COVID becoming a thing?
Oh, the new Blade Runner?
Yeah,
before.
Before, wasn't it?
Yeah.
All blends together for me at this
Plus,
time.
Ryan Gosling as the lead was a bit of a questionable casting, but he did really well.
Yeah, I guess so.
They seem to be going for that these days.
It's one of those things.
Questionable castings. Yeah.
Or people you
Everyone
like,
in the
really?
Borderlands movie.
Chris Pratt as Mario.
Oh,
The fact that they're making a Borderlands movie is probably...
I always loathe to reveal how much I know about celebrities, but I was reading the other day. It just popped up, and I clicked on it. There was this outrage around Chris Pratt again. This time, a lot of it's been because of he just lives his faith out loud, and people just don't like that. But this one, he did an appreciation post for his wife, who's Arnold Schwarzenegger's daughter.
The new one or the old one?
The new one.
Right.
So Catherine or something like that. Schwarzenegger.
Yeah.
And in it, he thanked her for giving him a healthy baby
Babies.
boy or baby
Yeah.
girl or something like that.
I didn't even know that. I just guessed babies.
And Twitter lost its mind because they all felt that was a dig at his ex, Anna Faris, and their child together, who was born premature, so had like no permanent disability, but still is like coping with the ramifications of the preemie birth. And
They might be reading a lot into that.
Oh,
it feels
absolutely.
Funnily enough.
It's just
That's
such
unlike the internet to go hard on things.
outrage. Anyway, we're not here to talk about movies. We're here to talk about games.
Have you guys heard about any video games lately?
I am going to start because I have been very impressed with myself and the amount of time I've wasted on games this week.
Yeah.
So, I'm still playing Final Fantasy 14.
Yes.
It's still amazing.
Mm-hmm. No doubt. No doubt.
I finally got to the point where, speaking of which, Final Fantasy notification. I've finally got to the point where party that I'm part of is consistently wiping in a dungeon.
Oh yeah.
So it's kind of like I finally hit that difficulty level where, I need to pay attention.
Yeah.
Because I could literally, as I've said before, just have half the monitor on Final Fantasy and I'm running dungeons. Because as a healer, I just look at health bars.
Yeah, and as a healer, once you hit something like a difficult dungeon,
Everyone blamed me.
You have to be on. Yeah.
Everyone in that party hated me.
Yeah, that sounds right.
They're like, don't attack, just heal. And I'm like, I am just healing. I don't have time to attack. It's this weird dungeon where you get hit with debuffs like a poison. So it does DOT.
Yeah.
And I can't use my cleanse to get rid of it because the cleanse doesn't work on it.
Oh, okay.
You have to, because its mechanic is part of the dungeon, you have to, if you have this poison on you, you need to go up to this plant and eat the plant. And they sprout up in random places in this big cavern.
Okay.
And I don't know, like people just like, I don't know, maybe they can do this, but they just insist on DPSing the boss and not going and cleansing the poison.
Yeah.
And I simply can't out
they
heal
just
the
blame
poison.
you.
So it's like, I don't know. Because the other thing is the way Final Fantasy works, like at my true level, which is 55, I have Cure 3, which is like
Big cure.
the top tier healing spell.
Yeah.
But when it downscales you to do like a level 50 dungeon or something, or a level 40 dungeon, then it considers that top tier spell not unlocked in the dungeon. So I have to go back to like Cure 1 or Cure 2.
Yeah.
And they don't heal anywhere near as much. So I need to research it. I'm going to look at like
just look for a guide. Yeah.
Because as a healer, I know there's rotations that you should be using that are more effective than others.
Yes, yeah.
But yeah, at the moment, I just have to spam heal so much that another problem I've ever run into, I run out of mana. So then I load it up with mana pots, and as a healer, I've got an ability that regens it.
Yes, yeah.
Quicker, and I'm chewing through it still with those.
Your party should be doing all they can not to get hurt.
Yeah, you think
as
so.
well.
But I think these guys who have run it many times before, presumably, are probably used to a healer who's also run it many times before. And because there's a lot of things that you pick up in dungeons where I'm just going to follow them. Like they're running past these mobs. So obviously that's a thing. Like in Guild Wars,
That's a
there's
common
mobs that
thing
you can
in
run
most
past,
areas,
or
those.
you run a train and you collect them all, and then
Yep.
But this one, I'm pretty sure the secret is that well, it's not a secret, but the thing I haven't realized yet is that they don't try and get rid of the debuff by going to the plants. They just DPS the boss,
Right.
and rely on the healer to keep them alive.
Yeah.
And if you do it perfectly, it's the quickest way. So
Yeah. I for sure look up a guide on it, and then also I guess if you kind of watch the guide and you go like, oh, I can't do that. Like when you actually start the thing, just let them know like, hey guys, no speed runs. I am still learning this.
Yeah.
You will die.
But it's funny because it comes up saying one or more people are doing this for the first time. You'll get extra XP.
Yeah. It doesn't tell you who the first
but it doesn't tell you
time
who.
person is.
Yeah.
That's good though.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is good. Yeah,
Yeah.
it gives you no choice. Like, because sometimes you don't want to admit that you're doing it the first time because some people will just then leave.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to bother. But yeah,
For the most part.
again, that's just another quality of life thing that Final Fantasy just seems to nail.
Yeah, for the most part, I find that a lot of people are very accommodating in Final Fantasy, and if you kind of speak out and say, "Okay, I'm having a rough time with this," or can we take it slow? They will be like, "Oh yeah, sure," and then they'll also offer advice on how to help out. Obviously,
I have
you get
had
like
a few helpful people.
Yeah, yeah.
This was the first guy that, and he wasn't even really cranky or anything. He was just like, "Please don't attack. Please just heal."
Yeah.
And I'm like, I just can't keep up. And I even said after like 2 or 3 wipes, I said, plants for the debuff.
Yeah.
Cleanse, like use the plants. But then that guy he left the party.
Because that's obviously how it was intended to be done.
Yeah,
Originally,
yeah,
they designed that level.
But that's what I'm saying. Yeah, there's always people that'll work out
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, optimal
ways around it.
routes.
Yeah. But yeah, so I went from Final Fantasy and I finally started New World.
Yeah.
So
Your 3090 hasn't blown up?
no.
Oh, good.
First thing I did, I went into the menu and put the frame cap on. But then I'm like, because the frame cap, they only give you an option of 60.
Oh.
And that's for in-game as well.
Yeah.
But I'm like, if I can run it higher, I would like to because I've got 144 hertz monitor. And yeah, even in menus, it didn't. I don't know if they fixed the problem or
Hopefully.
yeah, it didn't. I didn't get any issues.
Talk about a bad reputation for your launch of your game.
Yeah,
Your
it
computer-
literally kills hardware.
Yeah, if you happen to have a top of the line card, it will explode. So good luck.
Yeah, a lot of people, like I've read on the subreddit that they just, I don't know, more money than sense, and that's coming from me. Because these guys are like, oh yeah, if I get into the game quick enough, like get out of the menus and get into the game, it might go black and crash the system.
Yeah.
But then they just start up and do it again. Because that's what happens. It goes black, crashes the system, and your card's either dead or it's not, and you can try again. So these guys are just playing Russian roulette with their cards that are actually seeing these bugs.
It's like maybe play a different game.
Yeah. I mean, I owned New World for, 2-3 weeks before I touched it.
Out of fear?
Out of caution.
Yeah, out of fear.
Yeah.
I like you still bought it anyway.
Yeah. Well, because that's the thing I've said before. I really like the look of it. Really like the look of it when I watch Twitch streamers and stuff like that. But I have this thing where if it looks like a game is dying or won't be successful, it's the same with TV shows. If I know they're cancelled before I watch any of it, I won't bother watching it unless I know that they got cancelled but they knew about it so they had a chance to wrap it up.
Sure.
With New World and games as well, it's the same thing, but slightly different. We were reading earlier that it's lost like 500,000 players.
Yeah.
I mean, it's always naturally going to peak at its launch
Yeah.
and then steady, it kind of taper out. But
I feel like potentially now I'm going to preface this with I've not played New World, but it sounds like the way that the combat works is that the game has a more heavy focus on your combat and PvP and things like that, and it doesn't seem, or it doesn't sound like, correct me if I'm wrong, it doesn't sound like it has as much kind of like fun social things as say Final Fantasy would. Whereas like Final Fantasy, it doesn't just live and die off its story and its combat, but it also has like a lot of things that you can do outside of that. You got like housing and gold saucer and crafting and like all these different types of resource management, and they're all useful in the game for your actual combat stuff for the most part. Like gold saucer, you can unlock, cool
because that's
items.
the casino, isn't it?
Yeah, you can race chocobos and stuff like that. Like there's a lot of different things you can do that can kind of keep you engaged, and you can go like, I'm tired of running stories. I don't really want to run side missions. I'll go do something fun. Maybe I'll go and buy like an apartment or something, and I'll decorate that up, or I'll focus on raising my chocobo, or I'll go play like the card game. That or I'll go fishing, whatever. Like there's all these different kinds of things you can do, and they all contribute to your character in one way or another.
Yeah. Final Fantasy has also had a chance to polish itself a lot
Oh,
compared
absolutely.
to New World. But New World, As for the social aspect, it very much is focusing on PvP.
Yeah.
So much so that most of the reviews that I read at the time were like, "Oh, the PvE, it feels like it was bolted on last minute," and that became evident when I got to like level 10, and the main mission was go pick a faction because there's 3 factions, and then do faction missions off the faction board, and they split that up between 3 PvE, which is just go and collect something, and then there's always 3 PvP options.
Yeah.
And I knew that going in, and I didn't mind it because it's not one-on-one PvP. Like if you flag yourself for PvP when you're in a city and then leave that city, anyone from an opposing faction can fight you. I haven't had that happen yet. But I don't like the one-on-one stuff because I suck. Yeah. But the faction, so you've got factions. There's 3 of them. Then players create what we would commonly call guilds, but in this they're called companies. Yeah. The creator of a company becomes governor if that company successfully takes over a settlement.
Yeah.
And then that governor and his company can set the tax rates. They can set the fees on crafting tables.
It sounds a little bit like New World. Like I think that New World had similar stuff.
That's what I'm talking about.
Oh, not New World. Sorry, Bless.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah. So it's a player-driven economy in the truest sense of the word. I don't like that it's got instanced housing.
Yeah.
That's just feels like a cheap way out. I mean, because it doesn't like
when you go, the housing is now on real in-game real estate. You run into issues like Final
Fantasy is real.
Have run into issues.
Yeah, okay.
Was it Ultima Online? It just ended up being urban sprawl everywhere. Apparently.
Yeah.
Okay, but Final Fantasy limited to islands too.
Yeah, but the problem is like the islands are also limited. So like you hear stories about people who are trying to buy a house, but all the houses are already bought. So if a house has been left idle from someone who hasn't logged in for X amount of days, they lose the house.
Yeah.
And what people would do is they would camp outside the house and
wow.
wait for the timer to tick down, click on the buy thing as quick as they could.
Oh, damn.
And hope that they were the first person to get it.
I guess instant housing solves that.
But Square went, okay, we can't just have people camping this house waiting for it to and having this crazy free-for-all.
Yeah.
So what we'll do is once a house is on the market, there will be a random interval where you can click on the house and you will be able to get it. And people have gone like, I've stayed up for 3 days trying to click on this, just clicking on this house randomly. I heard a story about...
Why don't they just scale up and literally just put in a bigger island, like extend the island, add more houses?
I assume that each housing island is actually a separate server.
Yeah, okay.
So it sounds like it's a hardware thing.
Yeah, but I guess there'd be huge resources because if you've got a player base of over 1 million, which I'm pretty sure Final Fantasy does now.
Well over 1 million.
Yeah.
It's like 14 million.
Is it really?
Yeah, dude. It's
damn.
the number 1 MMO at the moment.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah. Yeah. So they have like this housing issue and they're trying to address it, I think, with Endwalker as well.
Yeah.
But that is one of like the bigger issues that they have got right now, and it's that players can't really do housing.
New World, I don't like instant housing, but I understand now the technical difficulty in not having instant housing.
Yeah.
But they do have a cute way around it. So in New World, you can decorate your house. You do missions that... this is the weird thing to me, right? So, sorry, I'll go back to the start. So you got your factions, your companies. A company will always be tied to the faction of that its founder.
Yeah.
Is selected. Yeah. And then the different factions through the companies, the players control different regions, and that's established through war. So I, as Marauder, part of the Marauder faction, I'm not part of any company, but if I do Marauder missions in a territory controlled by any of the other 2, then it undermines them.
Yeah.
And then once enough of my faction have done enough missions in enemy territory to the point where they've been undermined and you've weakened their territory by sabotaging and do all these other missions, then you can declare war on that territory, and you have a 50 versus 50 battle at the settlement, or at the fort rather.
Yeah.
Each territory has a fort and a settlement, and the settlement, again, that's where the housing and everything is. But the weird thing is, and I guess, again, it might be a technical thing.
Yeah.
I can buy a house in a settlement controlled by an enemy faction, which is weird. But then again, given how often land changes hands, you'd just be uprooting your house constantly.
Yeah.
But as to the housing, it's instant. But what determines what people see when they actually go into the settlement, whether it's your house or someone else's house, is based on how well it's presented, how much money you spent on it, how well decorated it is. And then I don't know what metrics it uses exactly, but then it goes, okay, this is the best house. This is the one that people will see when they walk down the street. I'm like, that's a pretty creative solution.
Okay, interesting.
And then settlements themselves, even if it's controlled by a faction you are not part of, everyone can contribute to building a settlement, and it actually grows from, like, I think Age of Empires, like a small settlement. It's all just wood and hay.
Yeah.
To massive sprawling city. And you upgrade through missions, you upgrade the fortifications, and it's just it's a really good system.
Yeah.
In theory. I haven't played enough yet to really know if it works. Unfortunately, you have to be 60, which is level cap.
Yeah.
To defend a settlement.
Interesting. So that's the end game.
Yeah,
is
end
PvP
game
stuff.
is basically it's PvP throughout.
Yeah.
But the really fun looking stuff, which killed my frame rate actually.
Yeah.
Because I just happened to walk into a settlement that was getting ready to defend. So there was like all these level 60 with all their pretty looking artifacts and armor and stuff like that, and I'm just like, oh, okay, it's a slideshow. Other than that, really pretty game.
Yeah. Okay.
Really well done. I love the combat. Every weapon that you equip has 3 abilities.
Yeah.
That's it. It's like Guild Wars, though. When you change weapon, you get 3 different abilities.
So you're just pressing 1, 2, 3 for like different attacks, right?
Yeah. Oh, you got auto attack.
Yeah.
And on top of the auto attack, so you got light attack, heavy attack, and block.
Yeah.
On any weapon. And then each weapon also has 3 unique skills.
Okay.
Yeah. So 6 total actions, I guess. But yeah, you only start off with 1 skill.
Yeah.
If you've just started using a bow, for instance, and much like Guild Wars, the more you use it, you get 2 more slots to unlock.
Yeah.
I probably explained it really badly, but yeah, I'm still learning. I hate the lack of map. Like there's a map, there's no mini map. You can press M to go into a map.
Okay.
Otherwise, it's the Skyrim type bar across the top.
With arrows pointing at
With arrows, yeah, it's exactly like that.
Just a compass.
But it doesn't tell you if something's higher or lower than you.
Oh, so you just got to guess.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
okay.
always fun.
And it also doesn't point, it's not intelligent in the sense that, okay, I'm looking at something and it's 600 meters that way, but there's ocean between us.
Right.
It doesn't point to
where you
show you where the path is or the bridge is. It's like, no, it's here. You have to figure out how to get to it.
Well, it's a new world after all.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
Yeah.
unmapped territory.
And the last thing I'll say is it's basically Outlast. Not Outlast. Damn it. I keep doing that.
Outriders.
Outriders.
Because we know how much you love Outlast, Josh.
I was going to say, wait, if it's basically Outlast, then what's your problem with playing
Or
it?
why are you playing it?
It's it's basically Outriders story wise. It's like you
Just old school Outriders.
you could lift it out of Outriders, that campaign, and you could drop it in a new world and no one would notice.
I don't know. The way that you've talked to me about how it's like, people going to like a new place, blah, blah, blah. But like Outriders was people left Earth and they went into like hypersleep and then they kind of came into a new
It's
planet,
like
and then the planet
an
tried
old
to kill
Western
them.
version.
Right.
So it's the same thing. It's just a different way of getting there. It was a sailing ship instead of a spaceship. They ended up somewhere unintended.
Yeah.
Versus
but
their original destination.
They did intend to go to that planet in Outriders.
Oh, okay.
But they thought it was going to be hospitable. And when they got there, there were like these crazy storms that freaking killed and mutated everybody.
Yeah, okay. Well, I think in New World you're on your way somewhere, but you can't get past this corruption storm that shipwrecks everyone, and then you're on the New World.
Yeah,
and then there's storms like in Outriders.
Okay.
And people are just trying to live and survive, but it is a land where they figured out you're immortal.
Okay.
So
I mean, that's handy.
I mean,
if you get killed,
how do you figure that out?
Well, if you get killed, you become corrupted.
Right. Like Dark Souls.
In the lore sense. Mm-hmm. Obviously, if me as a player get killed, I just respawn.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was just massive deja vu.
Okay.
Playing the story.
Interesting.
So yeah, that's my review in progress. Call it. It's
Well, I'll have to.
I can see the appeal.
Mm.
There are a lot of people that pay a lot closer attention to things than I do. That go full on nerd with these kinds of things.
Well, you have to show it to me after the podcast because I'm interested. But
I think you'd like the combat.
I did just put a lot of money on a house, so I can't just like kind of whimsically grab anything at the moment.
Yeah, Sam, my brother, messaged me yesterday and he's like, we should play New World together, because I keep nagging him that like he should come back to LOL or we should just play games together.
Why would you try to hurt him like that though?
I know. Well, he messaged me and he goes, we should play New World together. Have you seen it? And I was I didn't write back straight away, and he goes, because I like supporting small business.
What? Oh. Gosh.
Small developers. I'm like, oh. And I'm like, yeah, no, actually, funnily enough, I started playing it last night, and yeah, like it's no sub, it's $50-something.
Okay, that brings me to my next and final question about the game.
Yeah.
How do they support themselves? Do they go the Guild Wars route and have like a bunch of cosmetics and things like that?
I haven't, not that I've actually looked for it yet, but I haven't seen anything.
Okay. That'll be interesting.
Yeah. I mean, it's Amazon.
Subtle in-game advertising from Amazon.
Yeah.
It's like, here's a settlement brought to you by Coke.
Yeah, like you'll click into a game and it'll log into your Amazon account and it will be like, hey, do you want to buy some more Elgu Mars printing resin?
I mean, League of Legends has started doing that.
Yeah, they got in
with their banners and stuff on the actual map. There's
on the Rift.
There's ads.
How do they not have enough money already?
Well, that's how they get the money. That's how they get more money.
More money.
Yeah.
Good Lord, they definitely have more than enough money at this point.
Well, they've got quite a few lawsuits to settle. So we'll see more banners the more people speak up about the horrible
more
shit
sexual
that happens.
harassment in a company, the more banner ads there are. I see.
Oh, looking forward to the next Diablo then. I mean, just banners.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm surprised they're not in WoW yet with the way the Blizzard's going.
I mean, Blizzard are going in and editing content in WoW like as much as they can, and it's just like minor things as well. It's really funny because they're going like, oh, there was a painting of a woman here, and she's like kind of like lying down a little bit seductively, like an old classical painting, right? We've changed that to a bowl of fruit now, so you're welcome, everybody. We've solved it.
Oh, they're fixing those problems.
Yeah.
They're really missing the point, aren't they?
They really are.
It's like we talked about it last week on the podcast where they cancelled BlizzCon for the first time in like 16 years.
Not even COVID could stop it last time.
Yeah, exactly. But now they want to cancel it because they want to work on becoming more inclusive.
They're also they're going like, we want to reimagine BlizzCon for next time. And what that means in my head is
you won't get touched when you come to BlizzCon.
No. Well, you probably will, but they want you to they want to eliminate the question and answer segment so that people can't go like, are you joking? Because I mean, remember when they did like the Diablo stuff and they're going like, is this an out of season April Fool's joke?
With the mobile one.
So every time that they do the Q&A, they're getting roasted because they become shitlords and they're like, oh, we probably gotta reimagine BlizzCon, I think.
That reminds me, did you see the ad? The League of Legends World Championship was on last night. Did you see the ad for the first Wild Rift competition?
No, I missed that.
It looks horrible. So Wild Rift is basically League of Legends on mobile.
Right.
And now the
two cancers together as one.
But this cancer you can carry with you. It's even more cancer-like.
Yeah, it goes with you no matter where you are.
It probably grows on you over time though. It looks ridiculous in the sense that you see these pro gamers and they're like, this is massive, awesome trailer and they're really hyping it up. and then they cut to footage of the players playing in a competitive scene, and
sitting
then
there
it's just
on their
5
phones.
guys hunched over the mobile. It's like, it's one thing to pump up your video game that's on a computer. They're behind a computer. They've got massive heat, like they look like they're playing something, and then these. My Samsung.
You know what I really appreciate about like the live FGC events, and that's when because I mean a lot of the fighting game community have been having online tournaments, which is totally fine. But the one nice thing about the offline ones is that like you have a camera.
The netcoded want to be good.
Yeah, Guilty Gear has done really well. Everything else has done kind of fair to middling. But you've got 2 guys in the room. They're like kind of like they're playing and they're staring intently. But like when somebody wins, there's a chance that someone's going to pop off, and they'll just be like, "Grr!" Like seeing the reaction is so good because the sets are so quick. So much is on the line. You basically get like all these concentrated emotions in one burst. And it's like every now and then you get like someone who's like, they won't shake each other's hands, or like the guy will get like in someone else's face if there's like a grudge going on. Like here,
Do they do that unironically? Like they actually do get in people's faces?
Absolutely.
Wow.
I got to show you a video. But there's also this great one where you see like these guys, they kind of like they finish playing, and one guy, he gets up and he kind of like takes his controller and he looks calm, but he can't take it anymore. And he just like slams it against the floor and just walks off. There's another one where like some guy, he just like, he loses and he just gets up and he leaves. The set isn't even over yet. He's just like, nah. And he just walks out the thing.
Wow.
Like he doesn't grab his gear or anything. He just walks. And the way that the camera's position is perfect because you can see him like walk off the stage, down the hallway,
You just see him,
to the
track
left,
him the whole
out
time.
the door,
And into the ocean.
And the other guy's there just kind of like waiting. And then he kind of realizes that the dude's not there, and he turns. He's like, "What the?
Of what?"
It's so good. Oh, there was one, the last one. There was one where a guy. It was in Evo. It was like a finals, or close to the finals. I can't remember exactly what, but this guy won a match, but he thought that he won the 3rd match. It was only the 2nd match. Oh. So he's like
a best of 3.
He jumps up. He's like, yeah. He's like, doing that. And then the next round starts and he realizes, he runs back, but it's too late. The other guy has already like just launched into a touch of death combo, kicked the shit out of him, killed him, won, gotten up like, no, I am the winner.
Damn. So it's like wait for no one. Like they just go straight into it.
Yeah, pretty much. But it was so funny because you could see in his eyes, he put his hands up and he's like, I hope this works. Like he was really
damn. I tell you what's strangely cathartic to watch, and I didn't know this was a thing. Tetris, competitive Tetris.
That's cathartic.
Yeah, okay. It's like because they're so good at it and so quick, and it goes for so long. It's like Tetris for me is over in 30 seconds.
Yeah.
But these guys are like it's coming down fast, and they slot it in.
Oh yeah,
and then sometimes they don't slot it in on purpose because they're waiting for the better one.
Yeah.
It's like. So nuanced that I didn't even realize.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of mind games in that as well.
Yeah.
Another one that's really good to watch competitively that you wouldn't expect is Catherine, which was a puzzle game that was like wouldn't think much of the multiplayer, right? But it's kind of hard to explain. You're basically ascending a tower, and the tower is made of blocks, and you got to move the blocks and pull the blocks out and to scramble up.
I think you're climbing.
Yeah. And so the multiplayer is essentially like suddenly there's 2 of you there and you want one person to fall down and another person to get up there. And it becomes very, very intensely competitive to the point where it is also like it's a side event at Evo. Like
oh, wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
it gets incredibly intense and ridiculously hyped. And you would never expect it. It's just kind of like a little tacked on mode from the actual story mode of that game.
Yeah.
It's really good to watch.
And that's how Dota was born. That was tacked on mod for.
That was a mod. That wasn't tacked on.
Oh yeah, I guess it wasn't even an official tacked on.
That was like a full game mode that someone slaved over, and then it was incredible.
I can never remember my Dota history or MOBA history because the original creators of the mod, I actually think they went their own separate ways.
They did
because one started Riot, and the other one was Heroes of New Earth.
Yes.
And neither of them went on to do Dota 2 with Valve.
I think Valve got some people from the original Dota for Dota 2. But But yeah, like Heroes of New Earth and
Imagine that. Imagine being the guy that modded that into Warcraft, and now you own and operate Riot, like the biggest cesspool game company.
Yeah, it's really a rags
What
to
a
rags
success story.
Rags to very expensive
Yeah,
rags.
rags to cum stained rags.
It's a fat
Australian
stack of cash.
government.
Yeah,
Oh, sorry, that's desks.
yeah, it's the desk.
Yeah. So what have you guys been playing? I played Far Cry 6. It's still good.
Cool. I've been playing a lot of Battlefield 5 with you guys. That's a pretty old game though, so not much to really touch on with that.
Well, Dave and I were talking about it the other night, and it would have been interesting to know how many people played it before the beta for 2042. Are people playing it just to get that fix like we are?
I think for sure that a lot of people were playing it after the beta, like for it revitalized the scene a little bit. And there was a Battlefield bundle that came out around the same time as the beta that was about like $5 or $10, and you got 1, 4, and 5.
I mean, I've got most of them free at some point,
Yeah.
like through either Twitch Prime or just
Because they're all essentially the same game.
Well,
But unless you are really fond of a particular setting,
which war do you like best?
then you'll more than likely move on to the new one anyway. So
yeah, a lot of people were actually modding and playing the old 2040, whatever it was, like that. Remember that
1942, like the first one.
The first modern
the
or
first
the futuristic one.
Yeah.
Was that 4? That was 4, wasn't it? No, 3 was also.
There was one where they set it in the future
This is before like 3. Like this,
okay.
So you had Battlefield 1, 2, and then they had like 2000 and hang on, I'll find out what it was actually called. And it didn't last long. EA killed the service for it real quick.
Because it was very futuristic, wasn't it? Like it wasn't even just regular guns anymore.
Well, it's interesting because apparently Battlefield 1 still has the biggest population. Player count. And then it's 5. There's still some people that love 4.
But the great thing about that version of Battlefield was like you had this thing where the team would have an assault carrier, like a giant floating ship, and you had to start from the ground, get up into the ship and sabotage the engines and stuff for it, and basically bring it down on the inside. It was a really, really cool concept, and I don't think we've ever really seen anything quite like that in a Battlefield since.
I'm excited for 2042 based on the really shitty running beta for me, but hopefully they iron those bugs out. But
we'll see.
I was literally this morning before we started recording looking at the subreddit.
Battlefield 2142. It's in 2006.
Okay. Yeah. Wow, 2006.
Yeah.
I was on the subreddit just espousing the Neon City Daily Discord, so people can join our Discord and be in the chance to win a copy of Battlefield 2042. Anyway, a lot of people are unhappy. So I think there's been a couple of leaks from content creators who got early access and decided to end the creator career by breaking NDA.
Ooh.
And they were posting screenshots and things like that.
Yeah.
And there's like maybe 18 weapons, unique weapons or something.
Yeah.
Whereas people were comparing it to like last Battlefield 5. There's like that many just sidearms in the game. Like, everyone's just really shitty that there's very little options when it comes to guns, and they're very scared that it's a classic EA and it's going to be we're going to take them out of the base game, put them in a DLC, and we'll give that to you for free, and then you'll think we're amazing. It's like, well, no, just keep them in the base game. So,
or it could be like, I mean, possibly. It could also be like a developmental thing where they look at their last game and they go like, okay, what guns did people use? What guns did they not use? There's just like a handful of guns that are actually used, and the rest are just chaff. They're useless. Yeah. So why have them in the game in the first place? Like if you look at something like very different games, but say, original Halo games, every gun did a certain thing a certain way, and why would you want more of that, but maybe like a slightly more damage, but a different fire rate? There's not a lot of variation when you get right down to it.
Well, I mean, granted, the subreddit is only a small community or a small part of the larger community, but they are certainly upset about it.
They'll be upset about anything.
Because people see they think they're getting less, even though It might be less,
Yeah.
but if
But
no
I
one ever
think
used it, what's the
from
point?
my take from the beta was that there's more of an emphasis on customization because you can now do that through the in-game menu and there's a lot more attachments and things
That's
like that.
true.
So, maybe there's less base weapons, but you can customize them.
Yeah.
A lot more ways.
You could well be right.
So,
Yeah.
either way, I'm still looking forward to it. I mean,
Yeah, I'll reserve judgment.
I
until
don't know if there's
play it,
actually
you
a
know?
campaign.
I hope not, because I wouldn't play it.
I always play them.
I'd never have played a campaign in a Battlefield game. In fact, I feel personally that they're a waste of resources.
Yeah, I think because even COD went that way with Black Ops 4. That was the first time they just scrapped
The single player.
the single player.
That's interesting because, so for me, Call of Duty has always been like, there is multiplayer, but the single player has always been like a big set piece. So it's always been like that. Battlefield has always been a multiplayer focused game, and then they tried to catch up and combat Call of Duty by adding a single player game in a misguided attempt at stealing their audience. I think just stick to what you're good at, have your good multiplayer game. Surprised about COD Blops, don't really know, I don't really have an opinion on them though, because I don't play many.
Well, because
Call
there's
of
a new
Duties.
COD coming out too.
Yeah.
Vanguard. Is it?
Vanguard.
Yeah.
I've seen an ad somewhere.
Don't know if that's single player, multiplayer. I don't know if
It's just a rehashed battle royale.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I think COD is probably quite comfortable. Who owns COD?
Activision.
They're probably quite comfortable with the way that
Warzone.
Warzone's going. They don't necessarily need to compete with Battlefield now in the multiplayer market when they release a new game. They could probably just make the new game go back to their roots and make it a really good set piece single player and then tack on the same old but smaller scale multiplayer deathmatch stuff.
I mean, that's I feel that's what Call of Duty players are after, right? But I can't say really.
Conor
from
McGregor in
experience.
space is what I'm all about.
Like the okay.
Can we just leave him in space? Is that possible?
Dude, he's so high, he's living there.
No spacesuit required.
No.
But yeah, I don't know. There's always this weird thing about Activision, how they kind of go, we got to have an annual release. Every year there's got to be a new Call of Duty. I'm really amazed that people aren't burnt out on it yet, because you think of all the other franchises that have done that with. Like, we've lost Tony Hawk's, we've lost like Guitar Heroes. That they will run a franchise into the ground and then never look back.
Just move to a different one and sell that.
COD, I think it's the longer it goes, the younger the audience gets.
Yeah.
With COD, in a weird way. I think there's a generational shift as well. I think Warzone was a really good example of that. On the back of the success of Fortnite and PUBG and things like that, Warzone came in and...
Was Warzone free?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know how they make their money off Warzone. Maybe it's probably cosmetics and things.
I suspect so.
Would they have like battle passes and stuff like that?
Oh, probably.
They're probably just like,
They'll be
copying-
dropping advertisements on your head soon.
They're probably copying just Fortnite's pay scheme, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Once again, I'm speaking within the realms of speculation. I have no idea how these games work.
Battle Royale is one thing I've never caught on for me personally.
I die so quick. I like to be able to keep playing the game. Hence why Battlefield's okay.
Yeah, you get to respawn.
But
You don't have to go back to the menu.
When we played
start a
Warzone, it
new
was like,
game.
oh, okay, fine.
I've never enjoyed game modes where if you die once, it's over for you. Like even back when Counter-Strike was a thing, I was just uninterested in it.
I
At
feel like
least
I
those
failed
rounds are
as
shorter.
Yeah.
I feel like I failed as a father because Eli last week we touched on the fact that he's now playing Fortnite.
Well, you should just only play Save the World.
I don't know what that means.
Save the World
Is
is
it co-op or?
Well, yeah, but Save the World is the one where it's you fight zombies.
Oh,
It's the
okay.
it's the PvE base building game, which is actually pretty good.
Yeah, and then yesterday I bought him his first V-Bucks.
Oh no, you failed as father.
So
I mean, my children have had Robux given to them for Roblox, certainly.
yeah,
I
I've
hear
done
the
that too.
Roblox was down for 3 days.
It
3
was
days.
My
That's
children were
incredible.
apoplectic. They were like, what?
Yeah. That's an incredible amount of downtime
Yeah.
for any modern day company.
Didn't they have some? They had some tie with some fast food company in the US. And
They had a time with Chipotle.
Yeah. This didn't cause that. Wasn't the time. This wasn't the problem.
Because all you had to do was like log in and redeem a code, and you get a free hot dog or some crap, like taco.
Could you imagine if Chipotle brought down Roblox?
I mean, even Facebook's been seeing a lot of downtime lately compared to usual. Sorry, Meta.
It's very meta.
Yeah.
Meta.
Although Facebook will still be Facebook, but it'll be like a Google
But now it
situation
says
with
by
Alphabet.
Meta,
and Google.
like loading it up,
Yeah.
it says
What's really great about this is that I can now take the clip of Norm Macdonald looking directly into the camera going like, Meta. I hate Meta. And it will apply all the time.
nice.
Yeah, I
Rest
think
in
old
peace,
Zuck
Norm.
is feeling the attention,
Zuck.
all the negative attention, and
It's because he's done a lot of shit house things.
yeah, I don't know. It's like I feel like The Social Network, the movie. In my mind, it's like a bit of a documentary, and it's like you've got this young, doe-eyed, smart-ass genius, Mark Zuckerberg.
I doubt he was ever a smart ass.
Who, if the movie is to be believed, never wanted to advertise on his platform.
And he wanted to find hot chicks.
And now that's all it is
Yeah.
ads.
Yeah.
He also said you'd never pay for Facebook, but I feel like that day is coming.
You've already paid for Facebook if you've ever played one of like their browser games that requires you to put money into it. Like you,
Wait, they do browser games on Facebook?
Oh yeah,
Oh, wow, okay.
yeah. They've been doing them since the dawn of time.
Oh, yeah, no, Texas Hold'em. I used to play that with my roommates.
A lot of the like mobile game design kind of I don't know what came first, but like either way, like I feel like the way that Facebook games and mobile games worked really fed off each other's design principles because a lot of Facebook games also had the whole you have energy, you can only do so many things in a day. This is all Farmville, right?
Yeah, Farmville
You
was
know?
ridiculous.
Peggle, was that a Facebook game?
No, that was a real life game that was good to play.
Wait, no, not Peggle. What was the other one?
Peggle was amazing.
There's a game that consumed people on mobile.
Candy Crush.
Candy Crush, that's it. Yeah.
And all the other subsequent rip-offs.
Yeah.
Because didn't Candy Crush, you had to pay real money to keep playing if you ran out of lives or some crap like that?
Don't know.
Again, you had to wait for a timer if you wanted to keep playing.
That's right.
You
Yeah,
either
it was
had
a
to wait,
time-based
yeah,
or
the-
pay.
or
the-
pay cash.
And you see that to this day in mobile games. You've got like energy, and you can only play for so much, and then you need to recharge your energy by purchasing in-game items that will recharge it. Like massive grift.
Did Blizzard ever actually release the mobile Diablo, or did they backtrack on that real
They're
fast?
still working on it, I think.
Oh, okay, right.
But it's gonna be shit. I mean,
That said, mobile games, as we've discovered in talking to indie devs, are a kind of a quick way for them to stay afloat. Like if you come up with a half-decent mobile game and you put some ads in it, that's how a lot of the indie devs in particular, I was really surprised to learn, fund the quote-unquote proper or bigger projects.
even that's a gamble though, because if you put resources into a mobile game, there are so many other mobile games floating around out there. All of them have like a picture of an anime girl as their icon, and it's like
This episode's brought to you by Raid Shadow Legends.
yeah, but it's just one of those things where if you get into like the top 100, I think it is, or so of online
like
games,
an app store, yeah.
like you're golden. Otherwise, forget it. And there are so many thousands of games coming onto the app store.
You've got to have a good idea.
Yeah, all the time. That
And even then.
yeah, it's very, very hard to actually profit from it. But if it's all gacha games, right? Like you look at Genshin Impact, which is like they brought that out on phones and on consoles. I think that's made the most money on a first year launch than any game. And it's all because like people got to pay to pull the lever, to spin the wheel to see if they get a character. It's some insidious stuff.
Apparently Blizzard's made $18 billion from WoW.
Yeah, WoW's been around for a long time. They've had only since recently have they kind of fallen from the number one MMO spot, and you got to assume every single person is paying $15 a month.
Yeah. So at their peak, when they had like 24 million concurrent players, you
Yeah.
times that by $15 a month.
That's more than 10,000.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money.
That's how we
It's over
count.
9,000.
It's either above or below.
Yeah.
It's over 9,000. It's fine.
It is over 9,000.
That's less than
And they
10,000.
still
That's
couldn't
redundant.
That's
afford
true.
a good HR person.
No,
Like-
they couldn't afford
'cause
morals
it's all
or
going,
ethics.
Yeah.
It's all going in the Bobby Kotick's jets.
Who's that? Is he the CEO?
Bobby Kotick is the CEO
Oh,
of
okay.
Activision and the devil himself.
Oh, right, Activision. I keep forgetting that Blizzard's owned by Activision.
Yeah. Honestly, the moment they merge is when you're like, oh, that's the beginning of the
I
end.
like Blizzard.
Yeah.
I mean,
no,
that's the way that most successful smaller studios go now. They just wait to be bought out.
Blizzard wasn't small.
No, it's just that Activision were enormous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They just did a deal with Activision. And then once the people who were running Blizzard still ran Blizzard until they left. And once they left, that's when things really fell apart. Like their MOBA went to shit. There's a lot more sexual harassment going on in the hallways or whatever. It was very obvious to see that, and it was just clear to see that the people who held things together were no longer there to hold things together, and it just fell apart.
But I mean, because you look at it and you go, well, Bethesda or what is it, ZeniMax or something?
ZeniMax,
That's
owned by Microsoft.
That's now Microsoft.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
Speaking of-
between Ubisoft, Activision, and Microsoft, are there really any? Because between them they've bought up ZeniMax, Bethesda as a part of that. Activision have bought Infinity Ward, Ubisoft. What's the Mass Effect studio? Bethesda, BioWare. Like they're all just getting. Oh, sorry, I'm just having a little epiphany in my own mind here, just going. They're all just slowly getting bought out by kind of the top 3 or 4 dogs.
That's always been the way, though. Like it kind of gets to a thing where you become an independent publisher or like a medium tier publisher. You release really good games that you care a lot about, and then you either go in 2 directions. You either double down and go, we are our own studio and we're going to publish our own things or work with a publisher but still retain our name. Like, say, after some, ups and downs, Bungie.
Yeah.
Who ended up buying back their freedom. But or you sell yourself off to a big publisher, and that brings a couple of incentives, which is that you suddenly have essentially unlimited money. You go like, okay, we're going to be paying our people. We know where the next meal ticket is coming from. We're not going to get stuck in like this. If a game fails, everyone gets fired. I mean, that's pretty much what will happen anyway, but there'll be severance packages at least.
Yeah.
343 still a thing?
Yeah, they are the Halo division within Microsoft, because Microsoft own
Not
Halo.
part of Bungie.
No.
No.
Bungie Destiny,
Yeah, okay.
and they bought that off Activision as well. Bungie are kind of like the exception to the rule, because they not only did they were owned by Microsoft and then basically absorbed by Activision, and they got themselves out of both of them and just went,
Just
we're
an
doing
impressive
our own
effort.
thing. Yeah. So, but for the most part, once a company is assimilated into a large corporation, they never get out.
No, it disappears.
And that said, Bungie, the game suffered for it. in my opinion.
Well,
Destiny 2.
Destiny 2 suffered, because of Activision's influence,
Well, and also leaving that money behind when they went back to being independent.
I didn't notice any difference in quality.
Not so much quality, but there was a lot of stuff they put behind a vault
Yeah.
that you couldn't access because the development work was too much to keep, like for the upkeep, because they lost a lot of resources by leaving Activision.
Was that the reason that they did that? Oh, okay.
But that's the choice between big and small, isn't it?
Yeah.
Do you have enough resources to make the thing you dream of, or do you want to retain independence?
And that said, it could have been Activision's dream to add all that content.
Mm.
When they left, Bungie just said, no, that's gone now. Don't know.
I remember that the official byline was that they were going, we've got all this stuff here, but no one's really doing, like, there's a lot of stuff that people just are not doing, and that is taking up resources, so we're just going to vault it, and, like, you're not really losing anything at this point, which I disagree with, but, like, that's that.
If you've got to keep, if you have to maintain something and keep it going, it can be hard.
I disagree on the value of it. It's like they seem to be like, there's no point in keeping this here, and whereas, like, a lot of man hours and modelers and coders went into, making those areas. And honestly, the way that Destiny is done, every area is so small when you get right down to it. Like, kind of crazy that they're going like, oh, we just don't have enough people showing up.
Considering they charge you $80 for a 4-hour expansion.
Yeah, I think that was my main issue with Destiny was the value proposition of them going like every so and so months, just pay. Like if they want a monthly subscription for their game, just do it already. Stop trying to nickel
Hide
and
it
dime me.
under
Like
this other
it's not
system.
even nickel and diming me. It's like $60 and $90 me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot bigger than nickels and
Yeah,
dimes.
it's just I'm pretty fed up with their business model because like you go in and you're like, I want to play the game, but there's all this other stuff going on that you have no access to, and it just feels like it's too much, you know. The first Destiny had 2 expansions, I think it was. One was really good and one was kind of mediocre, and that's fine. But then they went like, okay, Destiny 2, and now we have an expansion every 6 months or so, and it's just you can't keep up.
I couldn't play that quickly. Like, I would be struggling if they'd vaulted stuff because I'd be just getting to it. And be like, what do you mean
Because
it's
Jamie and
gone?
I bought one of the last expansions.
Oh well, yeah, we bought an expansion a while back. At this point,
Yeah, it was a while back. But we also wanted to finish the season pass.
yeah.
And we hit it hard. Neither of us have gone back since.
No.
There's no way I could maintain that pace.
I stopped playing
Yeah.
when you guys stopped playing,
But-
essentially, because I was playing when you guys
which
were
is
playing.
it
Burn me
sucks
up pretty
because
hard.
I really like Destiny 2.
It's-
It's
it
still
feel-
my
it
most
feels
hours wise on Steam. It's my top
Yeah.
by a long stretch. But yeah, it's just
Yeah.
they made some decisions that unfortunately I was like,
the problem. Okay, here is my design issue with Destiny. I'm kind of glad that Nick's not here because I wouldn't be able to get a word in edgewise because he's got some problems with it too. But I think that the biggest issue with Destiny is that they have equated gameplay to grinding. If you're fighting a boss, he's just got a lot of health.
bullet
Sponges everywhere. You know, you fight some of the smaller enemies and they're quite fun to fight because like they react to what you're doing.
Yeah.
But they're still nowhere near as interesting or tactile as fighting the Covenant in the Halo games were. They would they would run behind you, they'd try to chuck grenades, they'd do all like these different things. The AI would actually combat you. Whereas in Destiny, whether it's because of the way that netcode works or what, they just stand there and go thum, 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 and do a shoot at you, and you just got to shoot them first. And honestly, it's kind of boring. And when you're fighting lower level guys and you pop someone with a headshot and their head explodes and they die, that does feel good. You're like, cool.
Yeah.
I like that. But then you get to a boss and there's nothing interesting about the boss. You just have to stand there and shoot it with a bunch of people and maybe dodge a bullet here and there.
And if you-
maybe they'll send
yeah.
some mobs at you that you have to deal with, but it's not, it doesn't equate to fun.
No, and if you happen to die accidentally because you didn't quite do it right, it's like,
Yeah,
I've got to do this.
and then you've also got the problem of just like, when you pay all this money for like a new story, the story is boring and the enemies are the same. Like there's
slightly reskinned if you're lucky.
there's nothing really super interesting going on aside from the fact that controlling your character does feel good.
Yes,
and I think
yeah.
that the fact that controlling your character feels good is the saving grace of that game. And it's just a shame that the rest of the game experience can't match up to your character control and like just how nice everything looks. It's presented very well, but the grind is just too much.
I hated having to go back all the time to receive my whatevers or
Yeah.
click on the guy and then go and do it.
Oh, yeah,
It's
yeah,
like,
yeah,
can
yeah,
it
yeah.
just happen?
I was also going to say, just shifting away from this now, we were talking about Bethesda for a moment. They're actually re-releasing Skyrim again.
oh, of course they are.
They're going to catch up to GTA. It's going to be a tight.
Oh,
It's funny you
doesn't-
mentioned that. I was just reading this article about GTA, and I don't know that I believe it because it quotes. I don't know if Chris Mag is an alias or if that's actually someone. It says Rockstar. Oh, sorry, Rockstar Mags Chris. I don't know what that means.
There's a magazine. I don't know.
Maybe. Yeah. Anyway, he's saying that GTA 6 is in development hell. I don't believe that for a second.
What do you mean? GTA 5 was in development hell.
Really?
They were all in development hell for a while, yeah.
That's like their main money
Depends
maker.
your definition of development.
Yeah, but what's his name? The guy who was behind all the other GTAs has left.
Oh, he
remember?
did too,
Dan
didn't he?
Houser?
Yeah. And apparently there's Red Dead Redemption remastered.
And
coming.
Red Dead Redemption 2 was also in development hell for a long time.
Yeah, apparently the first one was as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of their
Why
games...
don't they just get their shit together? I mean, they're the only games they make.
Oh, yeah. It's so easy to make a game.
I know, and they're small games.
No, the GTA, all of the Rockstar open world games have always been a bit of a shit show from a development side, from what I've heard.
That is a lot.
My
to
butt
do.
fell asleep.
Yeah. That's another issue that they have.
That sounds like the title of an indie game.
My butt fell
My
asleep.
butt fell asleep.
It's like Shower with Your Dad Simulator.
What?
Yeah, it's real.
Is that a game?
Yeah, dude.
Oh no.
It sounds like my job almost.
Yeah, no, I'm not down with that.
It's probably not what you're thinking. You just basically got to find your dad in the shower. You gotta hang out with
Is
him.
there a lot of steam?
Do you clean him?
There's just a lot of men.
But do you clean him?
No. You just find your dad. You're like, you found your dad.
But isn't it called clean your dad?
No. Shower with your dad.
Oh, shower with
How
your dad.
did you? How did you instantly forget the name of the game?
Yeah, I thought you said
You're cleaning
shower.
him, right? You're cleaning your dad.
I missed the with. I heard shower your dad.
Yeah,
No.
that's what I heard.
Shower with your
I'm
dad
like,
simulator.
okay, you is he just he's incapable of doing
He
it
needs
himself?
assistance?
Is it a sad story? He's declining mentally.
Are you showering him with presents?
No, it's a shower.
Don't know how I feel about
You
that.
just got to find your dad.
Is it on Steam?
Yeah.
Might have to check
Look forward
it
to
out.
one of our next streams, guys. Amazing.
Speaking of, we played Phasmophobia finally last night.
Yeah, how'd
I
you
say
like it?
finally. People probably didn't. Yeah,
And we say
would've
last
played
night.
week.
That's all relative to when you're listening to this.
That's true. Yeah, I'll admit that. I feel
You had
no.
fun.
I hold on. I'm going to word this very carefully. I feel vindicated, but also have to admit that I did like it. I felt vindication in the sense that
I felt vindication that you did enjoy it, and I knew you would, and you were dodging it so much.
I knew that it was going to be scary, and it was.
Uh-huh.
Despite your claims that it wouldn't be scary,
I
because
said it
we'll
wouldn't
all
be
be there
like
together.
Outlast.
It probably scared me more than Outlast. Oh, no. Outlast had some pretty freaky moments.
Yeah.
But the
Outlast was
first
just-
death in Phasmophobia last night
Yeah.
scared the shit out of me because I didn't know how you died.
Yeah.
I didn't know what happened.
That
I
was
thought
Actually, I'm very glad that you were the first one to go because, like, once you know how the ghost kills you and, like, that's out of the way, you're like,
Yeah.
all right, it's not actually bad.
well, I still had that
Just that
fear of that
initial
happening
thing.
because it would build up.
Yeah,
The instruments would go crazy
Yeah.
and you're like, shit.
Yeah.
Is it going to be me or someone else?
Like we saw with Nick running to the closet and then whispering to us like, I'm in the closet.
Yeah. He did the right thing, though.
Yeah. If you haven't seen it, it's on our Twitch, but I'll definitely download it and put it on our YouTube.
Yeah.
It's worth a watch.
It was great how often, like, you'd be like, I'm fine, I'm going in the house. You walk in the house, and then immediately the ghost closes and locks the door behind you. And I'm on the other side of the door. I'm like, Josh, the door is
The door's
closed.
Yeah. It's to be honest, it's a clever, simple but clever premise as well.
Yeah.
It's well executed, like with the whole voice comms through the game. So
Yeah.
you can't
Yeah.
hear each other and stuff.
I played it before, but I haven't really had the ghost often do like the wah thing in my ear, and so that was pretty cool. I was like, ooh, time to go.
Yeah. and you don't feel stupid because a lot of the time you have to repeat the ghost's name.
Yeah,
And it's like, I don't want to say it.
Particularly when you know it's going to
Here,
anger the ghost.
Dorothy, you here?
yeah,
Like, and then they wouldn't come out, so I just tried to start insulting them.
yeah.
But then it's like, well, hold on, I don't want it to come out. And I felt
I'm
very
torn.
conflicted.
Yeah,
But yeah, it's interesting game. I felt like it was going to be a bit repetitive, but it wasn't because the locations change enough. The tools have to change enough, or the circumstances of which the ghost will respond.
and I also made sure because we were just starting out, like I didn't do any like the bigger areas because
there's bigger areas.
Oh yeah, there's like an abandoned school, an asylum.
Oh, that's no.
There's some scary environments.
Yeah,
there.
okay.
But so I just kept it to houses, and we checked out the
campsite.
campsite.
That's new. I hadn't seen that before.
Where was the campsite one? Didn't we all die?
Not me.
No, you bailed. We all died at the entrance, I think.
The great
to the
part was
camp.
like I'm on one side of the gate, and I just see Nick go no, and just die in front of me. Like, well, time
'Cause I
to
died
go.
at the gate, yeah.
It was always you dying first. pretty
Yeah, I
much, too,
died
think.
first twice. I think we played 4 rounds total. The first 2, I died the first time.
Your first death was so good. Like, oh man, I wish
All
I, had
I
it
could hear
recorded
from
my
the Never
perspective.
Realm because you
Yeah.
just get taken into like
Oh, man.
different dimension,
Oh,
the
man.
death dimension or whatever.
Yeah.
And I could just hear everyone because it all sounds distant when
Yeah.
you're dead. Distant.
Oh, laughing in
So
the
just
distance.
all my friends laughing
Dude,
at my demise.
It was like, because we're there and I'm going like, oh shit, I think and I've gone like, like I've heard like the thing, and I'm yelling out like, "Josh, the ghost is hunting!" And then we hear in the distance,
And I don't know what that means.
a very primal scream, and because of the way that the spatial, the sound works, like it really did sound like you were in the house screaming. So you weren't just like screaming in our ear in like a Discord chat.
Yeah.
It was coming from the home. It was so good. Oh,
I wake up Luca.
yeah. Did you? I reckon you were there.
Because Jess came in, and not subtly this time, thankfully.
Yeah.
Not like the Outlast moment.
Yeah, yeah.
She's
she
like, the
came in and
baby!
like, shut up, you wake up, Luca.
You're like, you don't know what happened to me.
Yeah, exactly. I did point at the screen and went, it's scary. No, it's I would much rather play that than Outlast by myself.
Oh,
put
me
it that
too.
way.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
There. No, plenty of jump scares still.
Yeah.
I mean, even Nick freaked out.
Yeah.
I was
but,
impressed with that.
That's the thing. Like, if you get the scares and the freakouts, they feel earned. They don't feel like it. They don't feel cheap. Like, I felt like a lot of the scares in Outlast were kind of cheap.
Yeah.
Walk past the guy. Woo, moved your camera.
I don't know. You walk past that guy in the hallway in the wheelchair.
Yeah, because
I
you
tried
walk
to
past him
jump over.
once.
Yeah.
You walk past him the first time and he didn't. Then you walk back past him and he came
and that's
for you.
just like it. Funnily enough,
It's programmed.
Outlast feels more like a haunted house situation, the actual haunted houses that we go into, whereas like we're actually interacting with an entity and like, you know, we like that. I think that the scariest moment for me when we were playing it, like Nick and I were in the house and he had the infrared light and suddenly everything kind of like buzzed and the infrared light, Nick moved and we saw in the hallway just for a split second lit up by the light, the ghost. And we were just like, oh, time to go. And it was so good. Like,
And because it is subtle too.
Yeah.
It's not on the nose like Outlast is.
Yeah.
And
You have plenty of downtime. You have warning when things are going to happen, but you're like, no, you are essentially like wrestling with yourself.
the sanity is a nice touch.
Yeah.
And but the one thing I just felt like I would just stand there, and we've been doing it for 20 minutes trying to get this ghost out. And I'm like, at what point do you go, why are we trying to summon a ghost? Let's just leave. And it's just like, why am I doing? You know what it reminded me of? Almost instantly, because I have no belief in the occult or things like that to that extent. But when I was in primary school, it was like grade 2 or grade 3. It was like the first time that Halloween was explained to me or something. And another student was like daring people to go into. He must have watched like a horror movie or some shit.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, if you go into the bathroom and look in the mirror and say this 3 times,
like Bloody Mary or something.
Yeah. It was, and like I was young enough, and it's like just that. Don't know if this is bullshit or
I
not.
get a Bloody Mary kill?
Yeah. So it's like, as a young boy, you're like actually scared to go in and say it. And so everyone was running in and out of the toilets. Like, I can't do it.
Yeah, we're just doing the grown-up version of that.
Like,
exactly. And I was like, why are we saying these words?
Because the thing is, like, we're not necessarily trying to summon a ghost. All we're trying to do is find out what kind of ghost it is, so that the actual Ghostbusters or whatever can come in and be like, all right, we know it's a phantom. We got this. So that was the thing. It's like, we're not there to get scared. Like, if you're really efficient and really lucky, you can, because when you first start, when you're in like amateur mode or whatever, you've got a grace period of 5 minutes before the ghost can actually do anything to hurt you. So you can even go in there kind of like, and if you're lucky, you can figure out what the ghost is before the timer's up, and then you can be like, boom, we figured it out and we can go. Or you can try for the bonus things, which will give you more money so that you can buy more equipment. So, it's...
So that you can better invite death.
Yeah. Like, there are just, like, all these, like, really cool gadgets that you can get as you level up as well that will let you do better things, and they'll help you as you start to as you start to identify more aggressive ghosts on harder difficulties. Yeah.
Hot damn.
But yeah, a lot of fun.
I must say, it was pretty fun.
Yeah.
Not my ideal choice for a Saturday evening, but
It took me a while to get the hang of the controls.
Yeah.
Oh, whoops,
you got to click and drag to
I've
open
taken a
doors.
photo.
I kept dropping things.
I love how one of you knuckleheads took a photo by accident.
Yeah, that was me.
And it was fingerprints.
I was dead, and I hear you in the van saying, oh, no, Josh got a good photo of the fingerprint. I'm like, I did.
Yeah.
And then, I came back and I'm like, no. I was trying to figure out the button because, I got confused with drop and pick up.
It was like the one photo you took, like how serendipitous.
Yeah.
Almost like it was from a spooky story.
Complete accident that it happened to capture
He
a
accidentally caught a photo of the ghost.
No, it's how long's that been out for? It's still in early access, isn't it?
About a year or so, I think.
Yeah, okay.
Give or take.
I've seen other streamers play it.
Yeah.
It's quite
right.
It's quite popular.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway,
Cool.
boys, I think might be time to wrap her up.
But if you chill down after that by playing some Art of Rally and just some zen. Oh no, with a controller, just play free roam and gently slide around. Cool.
And then a ghost appears. All right. Well, thank you everyone for tuning in to the Neon City Daily Podcast. Until next time, I've been Jamie.
I've been Josh.
I'm not Nick, but I am still Dave.
Pray for Nick.
Pray for Nick.
Toodles.
Time to pee.